and that we ask, we as council, we ask staff, and we ask the community to put together a committee to report back on the 17th of December meeting some preliminary ideas to go forward in a positive manner. Because I think if we don't repeal them, we're going to still have people coming. It's going to be an issue in people's minds. If we repeal them, then we take that all off the table and say we're starting from a clean slate of paper. What do we want to do?
Okay, do you want to put that in the form of a motion, Councillor?
Please, I move that we repeal 1015 and 1019 and ask staff to help coordinate a committee made up of council, staff, and citizens, and RDS, FOTS, and other downtown organizations to give a preliminary report for some ideas a month from now at the meeting of the 17th. Not necessarily actionable ordinances, but a solution to go forward. And that way we're not rehashing smoking bans in 10 feet versus 12 feet in awning colors.
I disagree with the city being in charge of that.
I don't think I can repeat that motion in its entirety, but
I think that the people that are downtown need to be in charge.
Well, we've got to have some responsibility somewhere. Priscilla, do you want to head it up?
If this is a motion, I'm going to need a second to put it on the table. If not, we'll need to do something else.
There's too much. I didn't get it all.
So
I'll withdraw the motion.
You can break it down.
all right, so
Brad, do you want to break it down?
motion's withdrawn.
Two things.
Two things. Okay, first motion is, and the motion is with the intent of doing everything to repeal 1015 and 1019.
Okay, just that.
Just that, with the intent that there's more to come.
Okay. Motion, need a second, but a motion to repeal 1019 and 1015 ordinances.
Can I say my concern with that?
Somebody's got to second it before we can discuss it.
Okay.
I'll second for discussion then.
Okay.
Okay.
Motion and a second.
My concern is that we have nothing. We just have nothing to work with. I don't think that it's a bad start with at least some of the stuff has been there forever. I mean, at least it gives us a foundation for people to actually go through it word by word. If we repeal it, now I feel like it's like starting all over again. And I think that there are parts of it that are useful. However, if the committee thinks that there's not, that's fine. But I think that needs to be their decision, not our decision.
Councilor, they don't have to throw it away.
I
would like to leave it as it is, which is being there, but not being enforced at this time, with, again, that group coming together. One of the things that I think that we're forgetting is that again, the city was a major player in writing this to start with. So, I mean, what, now we have them writing it again? I mean, it's like, no, we need some representative from RDS, we need property owners, we need a representative from Mick and Moms, we need representatives from those people who have spoken out loud here and said they have a concern about this, to agree to get together and come back to the city council and make a recommendation to us as to what they want to do with this ordinance. That's what I would like to see before we do anything.
Okay, but there's a motion and a second. We're under discussion. Councilor?
Yeah, Councilor Quigley.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say that, Councilor Gladwell, I appreciate your passion, and you're absolutely right. But just because we repealed them and took them off the table and got rid of some future road noise to help meetings move faster in the future, doesn't mean that you can't take the notes and the ideas and pick them up. And if you have an objection to the city doing it, on the second part of the motion, we can look out there and put James from Jet Auto in charge of it.
Mm-hmm. You know? And I don't have a, I don't want to say that in that way. I don't have a problem with the city being part of it. As a matter of fact, I think the city has got to be part of it. I just didn't want, I want the citizens to be in charge of it, is all the point I was making.
Is there any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I agree with what Priscilla's saying. The document itself, the ordinance itself, has some good stuff in there. There's just a couple things that need to be tweaked. So I'm not willing to suspend it, rescind it. I'll leave it in place, and I think we appoint the committee, 1019 committee, to go over it, let's look at it, and let's figure it out and come back.
What about 10:15?
Second, amen.
But there's a motion on the floor to repeal both of them.
There's a motion in a second, so I can't withdraw my motion. can I?
Call for the question, I mean, call for the vote, I guess.
Okay.
Can I withdraw the question even though it's been in the motion, even though it's been seconded?
Now, wait a minute. What?
Can I withdraw the motion even though it's been seconded?
Well, the person that seconded
Councillor
it
Quigley has
with-
to withdraw his second,
I
and
didn't-
then you can withdraw
Oh, yeah, that's
your-
right. I withdraw my, let's,
I'll withdraw the
I
motion.
withdraw my
Leave it up.
second.
So the motion's
Discussion
withdrawn?
over.
Okay, so the motion, so start over.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me do this so we don't get sidetracked here.
Just to muddy the waters a little bit, we have a major disagreement on where all this started, this idea that the city started to promote this stuff is probably not true.
I don't want to
I
cross.
suspect that some here would like to shift, if you want to call it blame. We don't have to play the blame game, but for just a little bit.
Good, then let's not.
Can we,
Yeah,
Hank, this is why I'm trying to repeal it to
I
get rid of all the
I
stuff.
expected that. But where did this start?
I make a motion
No, thank you though, Sam. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I'd like to offer a motion to suspend further enforcement of ordinance 1019 indefinitely.
And 10:15?
Just 1019 to start with.
Okay, a motion and a second to suspend further
Enforcement.
enforcement
Of
of
1019.
We've already done that.
We already did.
We did that
We did that
last
last meeting.
Correct,
That's right, why
but-
we're still here, why it's here.
All right.
Okay, so do we make a motion to appoint a 1019?
Yes, that's all we can do. at
Ad
this
hoc
point.
committee?
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer a motion to appoint a committee,
Okay.
the 1019 committee, to review ordinance 1019 and come back at a further date to address with the council modifications to said ordinance.
Second.
Okay. A motion to appoint a 1019, ordinance 1019 committee to offer modifications to
Suggestions or modifications?
suggestions and modifications, modify, suggest, I need to write this down, suggestions to the council on that ordinance.
Does that work?
That pretty much
That's
have
what
the
you
essence
said.
of
I'll
it?
second that.
Okay. A motion and a second then to form a ordinance 1019 committee to modify and suggest changes and improvements and whatever else. Questions or comments? Discussion? Alyssa, would you poll the council on this one?
Sure, happy to. Councillor Glidewell,
Yes.
Councillor Usselman,
Yes.
Councillor Mullen,
Yes.
Councillor Quigley,
Yes.
Councillor Cronquist.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, that takes us through that.
Go
Are
ahead,
we-
Brian.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
is it appropriate to start the appointment of the committee tonight?
probably. I'd think so. Anyone violently object to starting to form that committee tonight? Go ahead. Who wants to be on it? Who wants to jump into the fire?
Mr. Mayor, as long as I'm on that committee, I will appoint Alan Meyer to be
Okay.
one of the positions.
Okay, and I see the dance ladies had up, and
James.
Aboud's Mr. Aboud's hand is up,
Jim.
James's hand is up, and
Samantha?
So,
Shannon's hand is up. I wanted to call you Sean, and I knew that wasn't right. Shannon's hand is up, and Mick and Mom's
Oh.
manager's hand is up.
Let's do
I
this.
think we need to balance it
When
with,
we're,
Yeah.
when we're done this evening with the formal meeting, would those groups that want to be involved with this come up and
And
get
Dr.
on
Bryan.
a sign up, please? Just for a minute. It'll just take a minute.
Okay, and Brian, you agreed to kind of
I don't know how,
help
sure,
us out?
why not?
Okay, all right.
All right.
Right, let's go.
Under, we don't have any unfinished business tonight or new business other than what we've
Do we have one
done.
more green sheet, Mr. Mayor?
We've got,
Mr. Mayor, we have one more green sheet?
I know,
Okay.
I know. Thank you for the help, though. We don't have any staff commission reports. We do have another comment from the public, Dan Morgan, who has stayed here for this whole 2-hour plus.
3 hours.
Yeah, my mistake, I put ordinance down on my green slip, and that was the wrong word to use tonight.
Thank you, Dan.
Dan Morgan, 2195 Cardinal Avenue here in Stayton. I'll have to apologize, my voice is kind of hoarse. I've been practicing my speech all day, and I kind of overdid it, so. I'll just quickly give you a summary of why I'm here. I hate to keep coming to the city council and complaining, but it seems like nothing ever gets done about my complaints, so I need to come back one more time. I moved here in the fall of 2013, and I quickly noticed that I wasn't that satisfied with the city of Stayton as far as their ordinances or their procedure of presenting their town as a nice, clean, well-kept town. And I kind of let it go for a couple years, and finally in the summer of 2017, I kind of stepped in and started issuing my complaints. I realized we had I want to say it was a nuisance ordinance, I'm hoping I'm saying that one correctly, and that we had a couple volunteers that did go around and look at nuisances, yards, weeds, brush, and so forth. In that summer, I noticed walking on the sidewalk by the Castle Rock Pharmacy down on Cascade Highway that the blackberries had really overgrown the sidewalk. I finally just kind of went out on the edge of the Cascade Highway to walk. I noticed then that there was a pond there and a lot of brush and a lot of real tall blackberries feeding off the water of the pond. And I brought this to the city's attention at that time, and to this day that is still there. Luckily this summer we didn't get the rain, so the blackberries didn't grow as big, they didn't get over the sidewalk as bad, but still, to me, according to the ordinances, that is in violation of the height site plan of the ordinances. At the same time, I was involved in an accident at the corner at the stop sign on Evergreen coming out onto Shaft Road. And at that time I realized there was a fence out there that, according to the ordinance, wasn't compliant with the ordinance. It was too tall, it was sticking out too far up to this, almost to the sidewalk, and it really impaired the vision of oncoming traffic on Shaft. I brought these to the attention, and yet to this day there still has been nothing done with either of these problems. I had a meeting with the mayor about this. And then I had a meeting with the administrator about this. I've had a meeting with the chief about this. And there doesn't seem to be anything done about it. The pondweed, brush and blackberries are still there. The fence is still there. There's other issues on that property that I won't even go into more so than the fence. My latest and probably most profound problem is the brush and blackberries, dead blackberries along Kendall Way. I live off of Kendall Way, and I have to grip my teeth every time I go down Kendall Way. There's a bed frame that's been there that I spotted the first day I went down Kendall Way. It's still there. You'd think as many city trucks that has went by that, some city employee would stop and say, hey, that shouldn't be here, and pick it up and discard it. It is still there to this day. I've been at this podium complaining about Kendall Way, about the blackberries. I personally don't live on Kendall Way, but I feel sorry for those people that do, because I'm sure if you had to sit on your front porch and look out at the mess that's on Kendall Way, you'd soon grow tired of it. And I've went through all the avenues I know of to get something done about this. I've even addressed the council about this prior, and I guess now my only hope is that when we get 3 new council people next year, maybe they will listen and maybe be able to judge or do something about this. Thank you.
I have a question for you, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you went to the city and spoke you said that you had spoken to, I'm assuming, the city administrator and the head of public works, maybe?
No.
Who did you speak to at the city?
It's my understanding that the chief of police is responsible for the ordinance officers and...
Oh, okay. So what were you told? I'm interested in what they told you about your complaints.
They all agreed with me, and even the mayor agreed with me when I had a meeting.
Were you told that it would be taken care of?
I was told it would be looking into. I know that the fence at Evergreen is a safety hazard. I'm just hoping that somebody doesn't get in a wreck there, as I almost did, because of the not being able to see at that point.
So again, someone told you that they would look into it?
In 2017, in the spring of 2017, when I kind of jumped on this bandwagon.
Okay. So when nothing occurred, did you ask the person that you had talked to what had happened and why it wasn't, I mean, was there a reasonable explanation as to why it had not been enforced, or?
No, my last encounter was, I've spoken twice with one of the ordinance officers. The first time I spoke with the ordinance officer, I had a question. I wanted to know how many days does someone have after a complaint is filed with the city to correct that problem? And I was told 20 days. And I said, well, it's been over 20 days since I stood at this podium complaining about this. And I was told that, well, I haven't had time to write up a report on this yet. Again, probably a couple weeks later, I saw the same city ordinance officer in our area. I stopped her and asked her about it. She said, well, I'm still working on it.
Okay. And have you gone to her supervisor to ask why?
No, I have not.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Dan, I think we spoke about this a month or so ago, a month and a half, and I think I relayed to you that I was going to have that cut down and that fence removed once that pond was built and constructed. I recall saying that. I could have swore it was you. Maybe it was somebody else.
No, you told me that.
But the pond is just getting to the point where I can have that taken care of, and I'll have it taken care of probably within a month.
I cannot understand why what's good for the goose is not good for the gander. Why a citizen only gets 20 days to correct their problems, but the city's got a couple years to correct theirs.
We haven't owned it for a couple of years.
Well, these other issues and the other ordinances.
I'm just talking about what I plan on doing. I came to you and I said I'd have that taken care of once that pond was done, and that's my promise to you, and I'll take care of it.
Okay, but like I said, if you had to sit on your front porch and look at this every day, you would be upset also, looking at it for a 4-year period now.
Thank you, Lance.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan. Is there anything else on that? We are about to move toward a conclusion finally. Business from the city manager?
I have nothing, Mayor.
Nothing? I don't have anything else this evening. Business from the council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just a comment. Thanks for everybody coming out. This should have occurred prior to this, but here we are, and we're going to make it work, and with your involvement and participation, we'll move forward. So thanks for coming out here.
Okay.
Tomorrow's your last day to vote. Do it.
Tomorrow's the 148th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln being elected president. Thought that really useful information. Future agenda items, November 19th, Village Creek no parking public hearing, another exciting evening. Neighborhood improvement grants and a housing advisory commission. And if there isn't anything else, we're done.